morning. Welcome back here at ECCMID TV, brought live to you from Pavilion 1 here at the ECCMID Congress Center in Lisbon, Portugal. My name is Judith Cohen, and I am still your ECCMID TV broadcast host. And I'm very excited for our next guests. As you may see already, I have two guests here live in the studio on my couch, and I have another one streaming in all the way from India, who's also live here in our broadcast. And these are all ECCMID participants who we regard as, well, can I call you all the Twitter ambassadors?
Yes, that's
yeah, is that okay?
No problem.
Or tweets, we were just discussing before we went live how to call you. But first of all, Rémi Le Guen, I hope
yes.
that was sort of an okay pronunciation. You're from France?
I'm from France, from Lille, in the north of France.
Oh, from Lille. Yes, sorry. And you have been tweeting a number of tweets during this ECCMID with the hashtag ECCMID, of course, ECCMID 2022. Do you often tweet? And do you tweet professionally, or do you do it more on a more personal note?
I mostly tweet professionally when I found interesting articles. But it's true that since I came to the ECCMID, I tweet a lot as a Twitter ambassador, because every time I see an interesting presentation, I tweet about it.
Okay. And do you get a lot of response to your tweets?
In the ECCMID, yes. I think there is a feeling of a community. So everyone wants to see all the presentation, but they can't attend to all. So it's interesting to see what happens on Twitter also.
Yeah. Can we have a look at some of Rémi's tweets, maybe? Ah, look, here you are. So this is just an example of what you tweet during ECCMID. So this one was on the phages, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and what kind of responses did you get when you... do you tweet to get the awareness on the topic, it's an important topic, or is it something that you really want to have a discussion about?
I tweet mainly because it interested me, and I think it might also interest others.
And what has been your biggest responded to tweet so far?
I didn't check the stats, but I think people are very interested in the bacteriophages.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of interest in that.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is another one. Can we see some more for Rémi? Yeah. So you're more in the diagnostics also? No, surgical prophylaxis, yeah. And is this something that you're, because you tweet on a professional account, do you also encounter drawbacks or the downside of tweeting professionally? Is there sometimes people with who you work with physically, do they have problems with you doing this? Or
no, I don't think so, because I tend to tweet in a kind of noter kind of way, so there is no drawback from it.
Yeah. Okay, it's really nice. So did you tweet that you were here live in our ECCMID TV studio?
Not yet. I think I will do it after.
That's excellent. Katrin, is it Katrin? Yeah.
Katrin. Yeah.
Katrin Moore from the UK. Welcome here in our TV studio.
Thank you.
Are you a big Twitterer?
Up and down, I guess.
Up and down.
Sometimes I do like to retweet things that I find really interesting.
Yeah.
And jobs, if people are looking for jobs, I tend to retweet that for people, just to help things along, help people out, really.
Yeah. And do you see yourself as an ambassador, like really trying to get information across to a larger audience?
I didn't, not till I became an ECCMID ambassador. No, I guess I just tweet about things I'm passionate about and things that I think other people will be interested in.
Yeah. And what does it bring you? What does it give you?
Sometimes, I mean, I follow so many people, but sometimes it does give you that connection to someone who's interested in the same things, passionate about the same things, and as a researcher, it can lead to new research, new ideas, new grants that you apply for together. So, you know, there are possibilities there.
Yeah. Let's just look at this tweet, because I think this was not the reason that you... this is maybe an example of tweeting about what you're passionate about, because you saw something that
Yep.
struck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we just go back to
I
the
misspelled
tweet?
something there too, which is a good,
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah. So what happened here? Can you explain it a little bit more to our viewers?
Oh, this is a few days ago. So this was one of the plenary lectures where they were talking about microbiomes and different things.
Yeah.
What struck me was more on the public health, how obesity had changed over time, but very, very quickly over time. And it struck me that maybe we're missing a trick, and by siloing things and doing things in one way, we're not thinking about other things that are happening in the broader global picture.
Well, and Twitter is actually a very good medium to sidetrack a little bit, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is an excellent
I'm
example.
a global health person, and that's how you can reach globally to people that you may not normally do so.
That's excellent. Have you ever encountered a drawback from twittering?
I would say not yet. Maybe I'm not out there enough or something. I know people who have, and I've seen people who said, look, I'm sorry if I've blocked you, but I've had lots of Twitter bots, I can't do this anymore. And so I really feel for that, but personally not yet.
Yeah. And do you, maybe both of you, do you know people professionally who Twitter professionally who crossed some sort of ethical line? Or because I think the risk of doing so is quite low, right?
Yeah, well, the risk
you really
is...
need to consider what you're putting out there, especially if you're doing it on a professional
Absolutely.
account.
Yeah, you have to try and think. I mean, you can't think of everything.
Of course
but
not.
You have to think a little bit. Unless you're doing it to get people enraged or to get people to engage with you, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm personally not me.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Yes, and you also have to be very careful to not include any patient's information in tweets.
Yeah.
That
well,
is
it is on the
something.
cutting edge where the magic happens, some think, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who tweet stories where they shouldn't tweet stories, and that you read that and you think, well, that's not quite right.
Yeah. Anusha, can we
Hi.
Hi, Anusha.
Thank you for having me here, Judith, and hi to the other Twitter ambassadors. I wish I was there live with you.
Well, we're very happy to have an ECCMID ambassador all the way from India, the south of India. Anusha Rohit, welcome here in our studio. You are following this year's ECCMID online.
Yeah, way back in January when we were registering, I wasn't sure. We were still at the peak of our third wave, and I wasn't sure whether travel would be possible, and hence I registered with the online module, after which I have been greatly thinking, had I done the wrong thing? But then I thought, okay, let me try and make the maximum of listening to every talk that I could possibly do. And taking up, on a responsible note, tweeting helps you do that.
So do you tweet often, even, outside of ECCMID?
To be honest with you, the only social media platform that I'm on is Twitter. And that's because I find it extremely interesting to engage with, because it is so professionally, of course, the timeline that comes ahead of you is depending on what you really engage with. And so I've developed a lot of friends on Twitter, people like-minded who are as passionate as I am about microbiology and about infection control. And this is a great medium to connect to people. And though I didn't attend the talk, if Twitter's the new ID textbook, I certainly think it's a great source.
Do you have like a group of regulars that you follow and that follow you?
Oh yes, definitely so. A lot of, especially the ID group from the US, where they have a journal club. I try to join in, though the time differences are so difficult to match. I still manage to catch a few, at least, not at the beginning, but at the late end of everything. In fact, even joining ECCMID through, this time because of the time gap was a little difficult, but I still thought, it was worth every second I spent.
Yeah. So which tweet this year at ECCMID got you the most response? Or
I think it was
woke
the
up the
tweet
largest discussion, maybe?
through, I think that was on the difference between the Merino trial and several other studies that came up later, which found that meropenem or the carbapenems are still more reliable than piperacillin tazobactam. I think that tweet really got on to a lot of people because everybody really picks up on that. I think that was what I got the maximum responses.
Yeah. So is Twitter a means for you to get discussing with international colleagues, whereas you wouldn't ever, well, meet up either digitally or live with them any other way?
Oh, yes. In fact, a lot of people then turn out to be very good friends or, probable even collaborators if the right call comes up. I think, this would, of course, being live is definitely great, but being on Twitter is just not too bad either.
Yeah. Is that the same for you, Remy and Catherine?
Absolutely.
Or do
Exactly.
you, because you're here live at ECCMID, do the people that respond to your tweets, are they also the people that you meet up with here anyway?
Yeah, so I've had a lot
Yeah.
of people come up to me saying, "You're tweeting so much. What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Oh,
Friends of
you
mine.
have good
but-
visibility.
Yes.
And you, Remy?
I think also it allows to interact with the presenters who are often very happy that we tweet about their presentation. And without Twitter, we cannot do that as easily.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Well, I think for anyone who really wants to get more in depth on some of the content that has been presented here at ECCMID, well, go and follow the ECCMID Twitter ambassadors. Which hashtags should people look up?
I think I'm Catmore_1. Really,
Sorry?
Catmore_1.
Yeah, so your handle,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we saw them on the screen with your own handles.
Yes,
and
yeah.
people can follow hashtags, right? Hashtag
Yeah.
ECCMID 2022.
Yeah.
Are there other important hashtags that you can advise?
I would say AMR, but that's because that's what I work on.
Very hot topic this year.
ID Twitter is also a very good hashtag.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you, Anusha, any other
Yeah.
tips?
I would think that we need people to come on to social media and use social media like Twitter constructively to engage with a lot of international groups and international participants and like-minded people. So definitely all the ID Twitter groups that you can possibly hunt online.
Yeah, listening to you all, it sounds like a true addition to all the science and that is offered here at ECCMID, but really on interacting more on a more human level, and going in deeper on the topic. So that's excellent. I would like to thank you all, Remy, Katrin, Anusha, for coming here live in my studio and giving us a little insight on the background of your tweets. And hopefully we have inspired a number of our viewers to follow more on Twitter and see what's happening there, maybe join in on all the discussions that you have elicited. So thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for watching. We will be tuning out now, but we will be back at the clock of 10 when we will be inviting as our guest Professor Under Ergonul, who is the ESCMID Communications and Publications Officer. So come and join us at 10 o'clock. See you then.